There's an old saying that justice delayed is justice denied. But once again, Donald Trump's legal team has turned that sentiment on its head, winning yet another big delay, this time in his election interference trial in Georgia. His appeal of a decision to allow DA Fani Willis to continue prosecuting the case has just been scheduled for October 4th. To be heard by 3 judges appointed by Republican governors. It's now all but certain that the trial will not start before the election, a major victory for Donald Trump. Joining me now, former U.S. Attorney, senior FBI official, and MSNBC contributor Chuck Rosenberg. Now, we should say that this appeals court is one of the busiest of its kind in the country. But is this now certain? You don't see any path toward having a trial before the election in November?
I do not, Chris. I think you're exactly right. It seems not just near certain, but certain that no trial will take place before the election.
So can work continue toward whenever this case actually does go to trial in the meantime?
It can. I mean, Judge McAfee, the trial judge below, has said he will continue to handle motions. He's proven to be a good and thoughtful and somewhat efficient trial judge. Now, it's possible that the appellate court will tell him to hold off on that while they consider the defendant's motion. But it can go forward, and I imagine prosecutors are still preparing for the case. They're not going to stop, but they do have to also prepare for this appellate argument in October, Chris.
Yeah, and the panel of judges, right, doesn't collect new evidence. They're just determining whether Judge McAfee arrived at the correct legal conclusions when he decided to keep DA Willis on the case. So what exactly will those arguments look and sound like? What are they looking for?
Well, first of all, you're right. Appellate courts don't hear new evidence. They make legal determinations based on the record below them. And what will they be looking for? Well, as a legal matter, whether or not Judge McAfee, the trial judge below, was right when he ruled that there was no actual conflict of interest, but an appearance of a conflict of interest. Judge McAfee then offered the district attorney a solution that either she could resign from the case or her former boyfriend, Nathan Wade, who she hired as a special prosecutor, could resign from the case. They chose the latter option. Mr. Wade stepped down. Judge McAfee was satisfied, and he permitted the case to continue. The appellate court now, Chris, will look at that determination and see if, as a matter of law, Judge McAfee had it right.
Initially, Judge Yvette Miller was a judge on this panel, and Judge Miller was appointed by a Democrat. She's the first black woman to serve on Georgia's appeals court, but she recused herself. And so, as I reported, all 3 judges hearing the case were appointed by Republicans. There are a number of defense attorneys who have been interviewed about this, and they say it probably does favor the defendants. Does it?
Maybe. I'm somewhat agnostic on that. I've always subscribed to what Chief Justice Roberts has said repeatedly, that there aren't Republican judges or Democratic judges, but just judges who try and get it right. I mean, these 3 judges, Chris, may bring a different philosophical or judicial viewpoint to their work, but I don't know that the party that appointed them means that the outcome is determined. I was a prosecutor for a long time in front of lots of judges appointed by lots of different people. And I can tell you, at least to my perception, never made a bit of difference in my work.
Chuck Rosenberg, thank you.